Dr. Giacana, Zoe Zerker here. So basically, through our lives, we are constantly exposed to differing ideas and concepts, cultures, information, really from an abundance of places like music, social media, movies, TV shows, school, friends, family. Really, there's no limit to how and what we're exposed to. And basically, how, like, what we do from these experiences really has the power to spread and influence people. This can really allow concepts to continue, especially ones that have been passed down for centuries and have been intertwined with history. But typically, history has been written by the privileged with little to no effort to really go back and rectify that information and ensure that it is true, and it does have that accuracy. Basically, Native American history and culture has been a victim of history, has been written by those in the majority, obliterating really the image of those in the minority. And really, these injustices and omissions of information have led to this continuous and reinforcement imagery of an abuse of Native American culture, really, I guess, damaging it. And really, the largest perpetrator of this is through American popular music. In discussing how American popular music has affected Native American culture, I think the best place to start is with cultural misappropriation, which is defined as the intentional theft of tangible or non-tangible cultural commodities by an outsider with the intent to be used for economic gain or to intentionally create stereotypes. Common examples include really sports teams like the Washington Redskins. Examples include Tim McGraw's Indian Outlaw, Peter Pan, What Makes a Red Man Red. Basically, the non-natives are profiting off of the image or the supposed image of Native American people. Usually what they're profiting off of isn't even the authentic Native American image, which isn't a problem in itself. Really, they're profiting off of this image that has been created through centuries and years of stereotypes and racial ideas about what constitutes a Native American, what constitutes an Indian. And basically, they're profiting off of this fake and unauthentic image of the Native American. And since these non-natives are profiting off of this unauthentic image of Native people, there essentially becomes this cultural confusion, which is defined as really a deluge of false information that has spread kind of like a virus throughout Native American stories, entertainment, and culture, and really causes confusion over what an authentic Native American is and what authentic Native American culture is, when essentially things are attempted to be rectified. The next important topic is blackface minstrelsy. It's basically the intertwining of African American culture through stylized mannerisms, an exaggerated regional accent, musical gestures, dance within a performance, basically with the intent to mock African American culture. It was popular within the United States during the 1800s and late or early 1900s. But essentially, when people began to have problems with it, they banned it on. They basically banned these performances, but what they didn't ban were the other caricatures that displayed minorities like Native Americans. So while people had a problem with the blackface image, and it was ended in some circumstances, basically the negative image basically was just overtaken to the Native Americans, and that's where they kind of took out these stereotypes. And from these performances, then we see these ideals of racial antipathy, which is essentially a strong aversion or dislike towards Native Americans. Basically, just the centuries of stereotypes and basically kind of false information and history surrounding Native Americans. There's just been this really negative image that is associated with them as being, throughout history, they've been associated with being backwards, the savage Injun, and really having this inability to really adapt into a white society. And from this, then we see ideas of playing Indian, which is essentially kind of, it seems harmless, however, it really has the power to affect younger generations and kind of transform how they view Native Americans. Basically, an example could include cowboys and Indians. So as a child, some people would split up into cowboys, some people would split up to Indians, and typically the Indian is always portrayed as the villain or bad guy. So really, at a young age, these kids are being kind of forced into this, or being influenced to really think of the Native American as bad. And then we also see examples of singing red face. So it's just basically when a non-Native person takes on the Rachel archetype of a Native American character through song. So an example of this is What Makes the Red Man Red in Peter Pan. After Peter Pan and the Lost Boys and all the kids help save Tiger Lily from Captain Hook, essentially they are brought into the Native group, and they're thanked by the chief, and they're trusted because they saved her life. And essentially, Peter Pan is given a headdress, he's given a Native American name, is basically made a Native American, and the whole time that they're singing, it's really portraying them in this very savage and kind of backwards way, while they're integrating Peter Pan into the tribe as he's doing the dance along with all the other kids. The last term that I'm going to talk about is idealized sympathy, which is essentially sympathy for an imaginary Native American caricature, which kind of goes back to kind of blackface minstrelsy and how it kind of moved toward portraying Native Americans in kind of that stereotypical and racist light, and kind of causing cultural confusion because they're portraying this unauthentic version of a Native American. An example, or musical example, includes Marvin Rainwater's The Paleface Indian. He was a Cherokee member, and essentially, even though he tried to portray kind of the plight of the Cherokees, he even still used the unauthentic version and stereotypes that had been perpetrated throughout society. Examples of kind of the idealized sympathy include Paul Revere and the Raiders tried to remake the song, and they took out some of the racist slurs and kind of derogatory terms in it, but they still were portraying this unauthentic Indian. So at the end of the day, it still kind of hurts the image and doesn't really help. Even though they're sympathizing and they're trying to make an effort, it's still not doing what it should. I hope you learned something.